Hi, I'm Jay and welcome back to my channel. Today, as you can see, I have a huge stack of really big books for you. Those are all of my art books that I use as inspiration for coloring. And I really love all of those books, so I thought, I would just show them to you. This is my second go at recording this video because, again, for some reason, when I recorded the first time, it did record voice for a change, but if you played back the video, it just sounded like Donald Duck. Like, it was insanely sped up. It was very, very odd. But I hope this goes well. So, let's start. The first book that I have for you is really dear to my heart. It's a book about Maria Sibylla Merian, and she and her life influenced me heavily as a child and early teen. I think her work was actually the reason why I picked up coloring with aquarelle in the first place. I talked a bit about that in my introduction video. I dropped the hobby sometime because I never felt I became adequate at it, but I think she was the reason why I started it in the first place. She was a just amazing woman. She was born in the mid-17th century in Germany, and she's known for her, I think, bronze prints is what you would call it in English, about insects and her amazing art. But she's also super interesting from as a scientist, as a researcher, because she was one of the few who back then did art with the mind of a scientist. She looked at nature, and for her especially insects, with the mind of a scientist. She wanted to research how, like, a caterpillar became a butterfly and things like that. And in 1699, she even traveled to South America for 2 years for research. And from this research came her favorite, or her most well-known book. It's called Metamorphosis Insectorum Surinamensium, because she went to Suriname and that's where she studied the insects. I had all forgotten about my fascination with her I had when I was a child, until I saw this book. I think it popped up in an art store that I was ordering replacement pencils from. And the book, I think, is about her life and research, but it includes, oh my god, look at this, a lot of her original art. I think she colored this with aquarelle. And, look at this. Isn't this something that makes you immediately want to go and color, World of Flowers or something? It's amazing. Such a gorgeous book, especially if you like to color flowers and butterflies. Oh, look at him. Oh, look at this. And I just can't get over the fact that this incredible woman, did all of this in the mid-17th century, as a woman, traveling to South America for 2 years. It's just, wow. Oh, look at this. It's such a gorgeous book. Yeah, this is Maria Merian's Butterflies. And it's done, let me check, by Kate Hurd. It has some, text narrative, but the bulk of the book, as you can see, make up her pictures. Stunning, amazing book. The next book is one of my favorite art books. It's Myth and Magic: The Art of John Howe. I've always loved John Howe's art ever since I was a kid. He's a Canadian illustrator, and maybe some of the pictures in here will seem familiar to you if you have watched Lord of the Rings, the movies. Because John Howe is one of the leading artists, the leading illustrators for Tolkien's books since decades now. I think since at least the 80s, together with Alan Lee. And he did a lot of work for all of Tolkien's works, not only Lord of the Rings, but also The Hobbit, Silmarillion. And because of John Howe's artwork influenced so much of what people thought of when they thought of The Lord of the Rings. Peter Jackson, when he was doing the Lord of the Rings movies, he made John Howe and Alan Lee chief conceptual designers for the movies, for the movie trilogy. And they consulted for the Hobbit movies to get the art direction consistent. That's why a lot of the art design in the movies are just, seem to be a faithful recreation of John Howe's and Alan Lee's art. And a lot of what you've seen in his pictures is actually in the movies. And the book is about all of his art. He has done, of course, more than Lord of the Rings. He has also done some illustrations for coloring books. He has done some line art for the original Game of Thrones coloring book, not the HBO one, but the original one. And for the Pictura fold art book, it's called Draconis, and it's just dragons. But for example, this one, this is just this could just be in the movies Minas Tirith, and Minas Tirith is done like he imagined it. Just look at this. I love how he plays with light and shadow, and how the orange, as the complementary, just works so well with the blue. Just let me turn down the light a bit. I think that's a bit better. Let me just give you just a couple of pictures. Since this is, for inspiration, you can just look at the pictures and, for example, pick a color scheme or like a feeling for the picture you want to color. Or like this, with a hazy castle in the background. Wonderful. Wonderful pictures in this book. Then I have a Linda Ravenscroft book, How to Draw and Paint Fairies. I've shown this in a recent haul because I just got it recently. And of course this is meant, as a step-by-step guide to fairy art. But it's also, for inspiration. And even though the first part of the book is a little tutorials how to actually draw and paint fairies, of course there are lots of pictures in here of fairies to give you inspiration for your own art. She has a lot of pictures of her own art in here, which are also included as the black and white or grayscale version in her coloring books. Let me see whether I can find one that I know is in the coloring books. Oh, I'll see by flipping through. But for example, this one is just a two double, spread of how you can do wings in different ways. So if you, have a fairy or even an angel, this kind of looks a bit, it's feathered. You can just look at this and find inspiration for it. Or how to do clothes. And in the back of the book, she includes just finished pictures by her and by other artists. This one, for example, is in one of her fairy and fantasy books. It's fairy and fantasy, and they're numbered 1 to 5. It's in one of those. So if you want to color this, and you're not sure about the color selection, then you could just look at this. But then the pictures in the back here, that's just so wonderful. There are actually lots of Meredith Dillman. Just wonderful. Wonderful pictures. The last two books I have are massive, and they're both based on video games. So you might not know them if you don't know the games. But regardless of whether you are interested in the video game or know them, or whether you don't, these books serve as wonderful coloring inspirations, I feel, because the art design is stunning. I'll try and show you some of the pages, but it's really just, it's massive. This is the art of Dragon Age Inquisition, and it already starts with the title page. I actually have this picture hanging on my wall at home because I think it's so stunning. They have a couple of different, I think I need to switch. Oop. It's off, okay. They have a couple of different styles. So this is a bit more comic-like. Those are rough sketches of the environment, but you can already see, I mean, if you like to color castles, for example, in one of the fantasy books. It's wonderful to look at. And look at those, the inside of the castle, especially of this one with the light coming through the windows, and the really warm color in the background, taking the focus on the throne. They also have a lot of tarot card art, but there isn't much of it in the book, unfortunately. So in the there's another. In the beginning, they focus a lot of the characters in the games, but not as interesting. But in the back half, they show a lot of scenes. Like, look at this! Isn't this gorgeous? It's gorgeous. You can see I can't even fit the whole book into frame. Palaces. You can see that you can even look at that without knowing anything or being interested in the game, just for the art. Look. Gorgeous. And And this one. Just gorgeous oasis with waterfalls streaming down here and here. Dragon. This otherworldly place. Oh, this one. Oh, gorgeous book, and it just weighs a ton. The Art of Dragon Age Inquisition. And last but certainly not least, this is even bigger. This is The Art of Ni no Kuni 2. And this is a video game based on the art of Studio Ghibli. This is the second game, and the first game was actually done by artists of Studio Ghibli. So this is why the design of the characters will remind you of those anime movies. And the art book, that is way too big to be shown completely on camera, just has character designs and creature designs, and it's just stunningly gorgeous and colorful. And in the back half, it has dragons somewhere, and then, which I think is always a bit more interesting, it has the places. Like this one, for example. Isn't this gorgeous? With the colors, the light purple and the turquoise and the red. It's just stunning. Stunning color choices. Everything is just so colorful. Again, another throne room. Oh, look at those. You can really just get lost in those books. So if you like that style. Wonderful, stunning art book. The next two things I want to show you aren't technically art books, and I've shown both of these on my channel before. And I actually originally wasn't going to include these, but Amberly of Amberly Silencia reminded me that those two things should be included. It's card based on Meredith Dillman for Foxfire, and for Elisabeth Alba for the Everyday Witch. It's like tarot cards. This is a tarot card. This is an oracle set. And I got them because I enjoyed their art so much. Elisabeth Alba doesn't have a coloring book out, as far as I know, but she featured in one of the Coloring Heaven issues, the Witches issue. And since this is a tarot deck, it has explanations for the cards or whatever, but if you look at the cards, this is her original art. And since I enjoyed her art so much, I got the cards to look at and enjoy. And I'm changing them out every day. Look at those. I absolutely love that on each card there's a kitty cat featured somewhere. This is Everyday Witch by Elisabeth Alba. And this is Foxfire with the art of Meredith Dillman. Oh. Again, has a little booklet, but the important thing are the cards. And look at this. It's just gorgeous. Gorgeous to look at. Those aren't all cards I have a part of, as I said, right next to me, and I change them out every day and just look at them and enjoy new artwork every day. And some of these artworks, I love this, are featured in the 2 coloring books of hers that are out. And there's also a Coloring Heaven issue that featured her art, but that is sold out. So if you want to get her art for coloring, then you need to get her coloring books that have some of these pictures. I love her art. And I found that those cards are really such a good way to get the art of a specific artist if they have something like this out. I know that art books can be pretty expensive. They're certainly way more expensive than coloring books. And I got all of my art books either as a gift or I bought them secondhand. Especially with art books that are a bit older, that's a good way to get them. I mean, they're usually a bit scuffed on the outside, like I don't know whether you can see, but this has a smudge here, and the cover is a bit, banged up because I got this secondhand. But I don't care about the cover. I mean, it'll be nice if it'd be completely new, but I got this for a fraction of the price because it was secondhand, and it's about the color, the pictures inside, right? And they are pristine. So if you're interested in getting more art books, that'd be a good way. I can really recommend doing that for artists you like. I know, for example, Jasmine Beckett Griffith, I'm pretty sure, has an art book like this out with her original work. I mean, she's a painter and she just does line art for her coloring books, but the original art is, of course, colored, and she has a book out with her artwork. So if you like her art, this would be a very good way to get inspiration. And I know a couple of other artists do that too. So I really hope you like this video, and we'll see next time. Bye!